Do you want to finally understand how fashion pros create their incredible detailed and interesting outfits? In this video, I'll show you the art of layering. From the right choice of materials and items to the perfect composition so that you too can easily create rock-solid outfits in the future. I'll take you on a step-by-step style journey that will open your eyes and definitely change the way you create your outfits. Let's go. First, let's answer the question why layering is important in the first place. There are two very simple reasons. One is to make your outfit visually more interesting. It's like music. The more layers and instruments you build in, the more vibrant a piece will sound. On the other hand, of course, to protect us from the cold, and that's exactly what we're focusing on today. With the right layering, we give ourselves the opportunity to be warm and stylishly dressed even in the very cold months of the year. We don't always have to dress in endless layers, but rather understand the basic principles of insulation. This way, we can survive the winter looking much smarter and feeling more confident than everyone else. That way, just because it's colder doesn't mean we have to put our style on hold. To proceed systematically, we divide our outfit into different layers and discuss each and every one separately. The base layer, the mid layer, which can consist of 2 layers, and the outermost layer. And of course, I'll give you the perfect shopping alternatives for every piece mentioned in this video. Let's start with the base layer. The base or first layer is always the most important in winter because it sits directly on the skin. This is how you can control the overall basic insulation of your outfit and ultimately decide whether you feel cold in your outfit or not. This is an extremely important aspect that many people don't know about or make sufficient use of. Generally, the base layer is a t-shirt without exception. When we dress for work or in a business context, I'm not a big fan of wearing a t-shirt under a business shirt because in my opinion, it just looks too practical. But especially when winter arrives and we don't wear the heavy gear to work, every additional layer to our business shirt and jacket is definitely necessary and welcome. Important to know though, if you use a t-shirt as the first layer, it should fit as tightly as possible. This way it insulates better and also allows you to easily wear additional layers over it without looking too bulky. In a casual context, a t-shirt under a shirt is not a question at all, since the combination can be used as a great styling element. As we can see in the following photo in which a looser shirt is deliberately worn open. In this case, the t-shirt can also be a bit looser. And where do we get good t-shirts? I really have to say that we at Frederics have been working on the perfect t-shirt for a long time, which is why I can proudly say that you can get it from us. After having quite some difficulties with the producer again, we are now finally getting the much anticipated stock, so they will be available at the end of February. You can find the link in the video description along with other options, of course. But if you want to use the t-shirt differently and as an invisible winter layer and thus go thinner and even warmer, I can highly recommend the Uniqlo Heattech t-shirts. These are my secret weapon for layering in winter. But generally that doesn't fully meet the first layer. It doesn't just have to be about the upper body, but can also be extended to the lower body. If you freeze as easily in winter as I do, the ultimate life hack is to wear Heattech t-shirts, but also the long Heattech underwear, or simply skiing underwear. This way we have a maximum insulating layer hidden under our normal outfit, we can't possibly freeze, and it gives us significantly more options of how to dress more lightly in winter. Now let's talk about shirts. Depending on how cold you are, you can either use the t-shirt as the first layer and then a shirt as the second, or you can leave out the t-shirt and use the shirt as the first. But the bottom line is that shirts are also an essential base layer that we can use to build our layering on. Either go with a classic cotton shirt that has a business look and feel and can be worn well in more upscale or work contexts, or use warmer options. You could choose from the following fabrics. First, flannel. Flannel is a soft, roughened wool fabric that is extremely comfortable to wear and keeps you nice and warm in winter. On the one hand, you can choose the plain color variants shown here, which are a bit more chic and easier to combine with other items of clothing. Or you can go the way I did here with patterned flannel shirts that are much more rustic but also very cool for your outfits. Sooner or later, we all need a little color and pattern. These flannel shirts are just the right first impulse in my opinion. You can find ideal flannel shirts, for example, at Suit Supply or at the Days March, Finamore Napoli, Les Deux, Morris, and Lyle & Scott. You can find the links at the bottom of the video description. Another option would be corduroy. Corduroy is a fabric with vertical velvet-like stripes that is also extremely comfortable and warm, but exceptionally durable. Since it has a slightly more pronounced texture than flannel, it is less formal and not quite as versatile. Nevertheless, it is a perfect option for creating a relaxed layered look, for example with a t-shirt, vest and coat. You can find very good corduroy shirts from brands like Barbour, Polo Ralph Lauren, and Knowledge Cotton Apparel, which again you'll find linked in the video description. Furthermore, we've also got shirts made of Oxford fabric. Oxford is a robust cotton fabric in a plain weave that often has a slight shimmer due to the two colors used, in this example white and blue. The fabric is thicker than normal, smooth cotton and therefore insulates a little better. Oxford is the most elegant material of the three mentioned shirt fabrics, but it can still be used to dress down an outfit. Generally, Oxford shirts are the best option to go with if you want a shirt that you can create both elegant and sporty outfits with, depending on how you style it. My personal favorite fabric for shirts, and therefore the next product that we will be launching at Frederics around March and April. Perfect for our basic wardrobe and will come in white, light blue and blue and white striped. As soon as it's ready, I'll let you know. Otherwise, you can also get good Oxford shirts from Suit Supply or the brands Kamakura Shirts, Eaton, Oscar Jacobson, Stenströms and Grigio. And again, you'll find everything linked in the video description. Let's move on to the middle layer. The middle layer can consist of two layers when it gets really cold. On the one hand, sweaters made of high quality and well-insulating materials such as cashmere, merino wool or lamb's wool. On the other hand, a vest as a second layer. But let's take one thing at a time. Let's first talk about the different types of knitwear, starting with chunky knit sweaters. Chunky knit sweaters can come in all sorts of different colors, patterns and shapes. The important thing is that they really are chunky or thick. The thicker and coarser the sweater, the better it will insulate again if you're not already wearing the Heattech t-shirt underneath. Here we're already putting together the first layering look by wearing a flannel shirt under a chunky knit sweater, probably made of lamb's wool. Add a down or wool coat, a beanie and gloves, Myrqvist hiking boots or Chelsea boots, and the look is perfect for the coldest of days. If you don't like white or sand colored pants, you can just easily round off this outfit with dark blue jeans. You can find a selection of good chunky knit sweaters linked below. Another essential piece of clothing for layering is a half-zip sweater. This is because it is essential for our layering that the layers underneath can be seen at all. And this can be achieved either by wearing a shirt under the sweater as just shown, or we can use an item that reveals the layer underneath through a zipper, buttons or a deeper neckline. And that's why we choose to produce half zips with my brand Frederics, so that we could easily create a light layering look. But it doesn't always have to be particularly chic. Otherwise, do it as David Beckham does and wear a half zip with a cable knit pattern over a crisp white t-shirt. If you want to create a more business casual style outfit, combine it with elevated sartorial trousers. If you want it to look more casual, wear it with jeans. It's as simple as that. Another option for interesting layering is cardigans. They reveal the layer underneath a bit better than half zips, but they're one of those items of clothing that men tend to avoid. Why? Probably because many of them don't know how to style them properly, and looking at a cardigan all by itself, people often find them to be too old-fashioned. But as we can see from these examples, cardigans can be styled pretty cool. Remember, we always judge outfits based on the overall look and not by a single piece of clothing. So take the cardigan, which may look a bit frumpy from your point of view, and add cool sneakers and your favorite jeans, and the cardigan will look completely different. And where can we purchase good cardigans? I would focus on J. Lindenberg, Harley of Scotland, William Lockie, Stenströms and Gant. And since everyone knows by now that you can find links from all the items and brands in the video description, I won't mention it anymore from now on. It's getting on my nerves and yours probably as well. But there's another version of the cardigan that looks more rustic but is also more comfortable, namely the shawl color cardigan. These four combinations are cool, stylish, warm and comfortable. When David Beckham wears something, it's always a good sign that it can be easily combined in a sporty yet elevated way. And in these two examples you can see how you can make the combination of a shawl color cardigan, shirt and t-shirt look effortless and casual without looking too bulky or onion-like. That's 3 layers alone, so all you need is a 4th, adding the outermost layer, and you're all set. You see, our layering is slowly coming together. In case you find this video helpful, for me in return, it would be highly helpful if you would like or comment this video or even consider following my channel. Back to the cardigans, great shawl color cardigans are available at Care of Carl, but they're a bit more expensive. Cheaper alternatives can be found at Reese, Charles Tyrrell and a few other brands. Now we've got one last piece of knitwear left that creates the perfect transition to the vests, the turtleneck sweater. It doesn't really allow another layer to show through, but a thick turtleneck sweater is particularly interesting when it comes to layering with vests. Of course, you can still wear a coat over it, I would suggest brown in this case, and your winter layering would be perfect. But this combination here is particularly exciting on less cold days because you can use the vest to show off the outfit underneath without freezing. This is why, as mentioned at the beginning, vests can also form the second layer of the middle layer. So let's talk about vests. Vests are an integral part of the world of layering, as they either skillfully connect the middle layer with the outer layer or serve as the outermost layer themselves. At this point, I can open up a whole new can of worms about what you should consider when it comes to vests, what goes well together and what doesn't. But I'd rather save that for another video or a newsletter. But the following rule of thumb is important. The more special the vest is in terms of shape, design, pattern, and color, the less it can be worn under another layer. Here's a good example where the vest on the left is simply too special, it demands its own presence, and is also too thick to function as a good middle layer. A vest like this is worn as an outer layer. The one on the right, on the other hand, is thin and minimalistic, making it the perfect middle layer to connect the first and third. To give you a good tip up front, one of my favorite vests is from Uniqlo, the ultralight down vests. I'm a big fan of mine in navy. Or go with Falconeri, a wonderful Italian brand. To share some of the outcomes so far, here is what our looks look like when we combine several layers and then wear a vest on top. If you're wondering how to know which colors go well together, I can only advise you to take any of the previous photos shown for inspiration and apply the colors used to your combinations. There would also be absolutely nothing wrong with taking one of these photos here, for example, and simply copying the outfit. I've added all photos and additional inspiration in a separate board on Pinterest, which you can find linked in the video description. A brief side note, instead of a vest, you could also use a jacket as a layering element, as you can see here. It has a similar effect to a vest, but looks even more elegant. Now let's move on to the outermost layer. Then combine all the items we've already discussed with the outermost layer. This outer layer can actually be chosen entirely according to your preference. In general, I can only recommend going for longer jackets, coats or parkas, as the added fabric down the knees or even just halfway down the thighs significantly helps to keep you better protected from the cold. Today, I would like to focus on two variants, namely the ones I use myself. One is a bit sportier, more casual and rustique, namely the down coat. The other is more chic and has been around for much longer, the classic coat. If it's cold enough for you to wear a down coat or parka, then you don't have to worry too much about the styling and the combination with your layered look underneath, to be honest, because you won't see much of your outfit underneath anyways. As you can see here, it is important that the coat, trousers and shoe match. That's why I always think it makes sense to keep the color of the outermost layer as discreet, muted and combinable as possible. Navy, gray, dark green, or for some people also black. Here is a good example. Although we hardly see the man's outfit, the look is still cool because the coat, pants and shoes look good together. We can see a black turtleneck sweater lurking out, he's adding sunglasses with dark lenses, all in all a very coherent look. And here's a little more inspiration. There are very different ways in which the downcoat is incorporated, but all relatively subtle colors. I would only leave out the fur as it simply is no longer contemporary. Unless it is used for a real practical purpose, that is. Where can I get good downcoats? In general, the best quality pieces are very expensive, but unfortunately the prices for a parka or downcoat that really does its job simply always comes with a hefty price tag. I did find some good alternatives though, and you guys know where to find them. I can highly recommend Canada Goose and Woolrich as well, although I understand if the cost factor may just be too high. During my studies, I had to work for 3 months to save up for my Woolrich parka back then. A proud moment I will never forget. Let's talk about the classic coat as the last item of clothing. When it comes to styling, the same applies as with a downcoat. The most important aspect is to match the coat to your trousers and shoes. As you can see in this example, if you don't turn up the collar or wear a scarf, there's a lot more exposure to the layers below. Therefore, the coat can and should be coordinated with the layers underneath. The classic coat gives us a better layering option and is also a much nicer piece of clothing to wear when it's not that cold. As you can see in these outfits for inspiration, the last layer does nothing more than round off the already finished outfit. The majority of the work, which is really not particularly complicated, is done by the layers underneath, and the look is then rounded off with accessories such as a scarf, hat and sunglasses. Here and there you can see a vest peeking out, which gives the look a lot more depth than if you were to wear just a turtleneck underneath. But I can only advise you to not make it too complicated at the beginning, because in the end it always depends on the overall look. If you manage to create a great looking outfit with simple and straightforward combinations, that will always have a better effect than trying too hard and getting carried away in the details. Men's fashion is not complicated, it's simple. It's only there to support us and not to consume us. If you really want to lay the perfect foundation, then I recommend 3 additional newsletters that I've written in the last few months. One is about patterns, which I've turned into a YouTube video. Then there's the newsletter that shows you how to incorporate accessories properly. And then there's the newsletter that provides inspiration for color combinations, with several episodes following in the future. As a paid member of my newsletter, you now have access to over 36 posts in the archive, which are just as informative as this video. Because, to demonstrate the educational level of my newsletter, this video again was a newsletter I turned into a video. In addition, you also have access to our Discord server that we've just launched, in which you can share outfits, get feedback, and help each other along the way. You can find the link at the top of the video description. And for the outro, this time I'm going to tell you a funny story. You know, here in Miami, I never get compliments from people for my outfits. Never. I don't know if it's my face, my attitude. To a certain degree, people just don't approach me. But the thing is, they always approach my wife. And they always approach my wife only when she's alone. She gets like 5 compliments a day. For her short orange hair, she does look very edgy for people, but also for her clothing, for her nails, all the time. Every time I'm with her, she never gets compliments. And I never get compliments myself. But this one time I did. I was just going outside getting something from Chipotle. My outfit was horrible. I was just wearing sweatpants and I bought a Slipknot sweater from H&M a few days ago. That was the first time. Guy approaching me, saw me, he was like, "Cool sweater, dude, I love it." I was like, "Yeah, man, thanks. Me too." And that's all. I'm wearing suits all the time. I'm always very flashy dressed, very well dressed. And the one time I got a compliment was for a Slipknot sweater. I love it though, love the coincidence. I think this is a cool situation, but generally, what's wrong with Miami though? People always get compliments. I never do. It's not that much of a fun story, but I do like it. Yeah. I love my Slipknot sweater. It was, I think, 10 bucks. I bought it in Las Vegas. Super nice, it's white. I'll show you someday. Have a good day. You're stuck on something.